Good day, everybody. Bryce here with Notch Flys. I'm going to start to post some fly tying videos on my Facebook page, Notch Flys. So today we're going to start off with a caddis fly emerger. This is a very simple pattern to tie, and I have in the vise a Daiki 120 size 10, and we're got a uni thread 136D and a 6/0 in black. So we're just going to start in behind the hook eye about like so, and we're going to work our way towards the bend of the hook. The wraps can be touching, they whatever, don't really matter because we're going to cover this hook fairly well. Snip the tag end off. Then we're going to take some copper wire. This is a brown copper. You can use a gold or a lighter brown or just a plain copper color altogether to create the rib. We're just going to lock it in place with some good wraps and then come back down to the bend. Then I've got some medium brown hairline rabbit hair that we're going to use to create the body as dubbing. So my dubbing noodles can be somewhat interesting, so please don't make fun of my dubbing noodles. I do try to keep my dubbing noodles thin. That way I just personally find it's easier for me to build the body, and if I have to put a lot of taper into the fly, then it's just so much easier if I have a dubbing noodle that isn't really fat and full. So we're just going to and there we go. So now we're going to take some Antoron yarn. This is a copper brown. It's a piece I had left over from a previous fly. So we're just going to lock it in place. So with this yarn, what I did was I cut about a 2 to 3 inch piece off of the spool, and then about halfway down the yarn I split it, pull it apart, and so then you have two separate pieces. So out of a 3 inch piece of yarn I get about 6 flies out of that. So now we've got it locked in place. We're just going to pull it back a little bit, shorten those butt ends up, and we're going to lock those butt ends in place. Now, the other thing I want to mention here with this yarn is you want to keep it on top of the hook shank as best you can. It's tricky because this stuff likes to roll. So, and the reason for that is because we're going to take the yarn and we're going to run it right down the middle of the back on this fly. Now, this is tricky because they say this yarn likes to roll. So in your hand that you're holding the tag end on the yarn, you want just enough pressure to hold the yarn in place on the back of the fly. And then with your other hand that is grabbing your wire, as you come around the hook shank at the base of the body of the fly, You want steady pressure until you get to about this point, and then you can pinch it off tight, nice and snug. And then as you come back up to start creating your wrap, just even pressure. Don't pull, don't yank, because you want that yarn to stay on the center of that back of the fly. So I have found that as you're wrapping and creating the rib, light pressure but a steady pressure helps lock that back in place. And as you come to the top of your fly, to our starting point, couple of wraps, and bring your tying thread up to tie off your wire. And either helicopter or snip the wire off, flatten that tip end out, and again use your tying thread to cover that up. Then come back to the top of the body of the fly, some light elk to create the wing. I like to use a comb to comb out as much of the under fur on the elk as I possibly can. And as you can see, it does work quite well. This is from a few different flies. You can see that it's pretty clean of under hair. Now, take your hair fibers, dump them in your stacker, a couple of good taps. Your ends are all nice and even. Ends are a few broken ends here, but we'll take care of. Pull any loose fibers out that might be there from stacking. And like you see, we've got some broken tips here. We don't need all of this. We only need about half to 3/4 of it. So we're going to use about that much. Broken end that's bugging me. Okay. About like so. 2 loose cinch wraps and then pull it tight. 1 more to cinch down. Then grab your hair ends and just put a locking wrap down. It's also, I want to make mention, very critical with these curved hooks that you leave yourself enough headspace to finish the fly. It's really easy, I find, on these curved hooks to use up all of your hook before you get to finish your fly, and then you get a bit of a problem. So now you're just going to take and you're going to lock all of that down. I have that locked down. Then we're going to take some peacock herl. Take 1 sword. That's all we need. Snip off the end. Tie it in place. And wrap. Try the hackle pliers. Peacock herl can be tricky. You don't want to pull on it too tight. It just breaks and snaps. And then if you put it in your hackle pliers, you end up pulling on it too tight like I did right there, and then it breaks out of your pliers. You know, just goes to show that, you know, doesn't matter how much tying you do, you still end up having lots of challenges. Couple of cinch wraps, take your whip finisher and a couple of wraps. Then with peacock herl, I always like to use head cement, especially in the case where you're using peacock herl to actually finish the fly. Head cement just makes that herl stay in place and keeps it from falling apart. Then with the tail, you want about the length to 3/4 of the length of the body of the fly. And there we have it. That is a simple, fast, quick, easy tie caddis fly emerger. And with caddis flies out, these are a absolute must to have in everybody's box. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And I hope you found this video helpful. And you can also email me at topnotchflies2001@gmail.com. And tie lines, everybody. Thanks for watching.